I'm not convinced I know how to read. I've just memorized a lot of words.
The first rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club.
True. All life ends in death, which we, as a species, are cursed with knowing, resulting in something. Again, this is really not my field.
It's the Al Travis Show, and we've got her. We're happy to have her. She is Shannon Watson with Majority in the Middle. What that means is she puts a smiley face on no matter how crappy things are at the Capitol, and she discusses them. And I saw you on, I don't know, was it the Facebook or something yesterday? You're in front of the Capitol just, unicorns and rainbows. It's going to be so fun today. I love your optimism. I don't know how you have it. How did you think things went? Great yesterday.
I thought overall really good.
Okay.
The fact that so the House got done around 11-ish, I think it was, and the Senate between 2 and 2:30, somewhere in there. The fact that they didn't have to go all the way till 7 a.m. I mean, I don't know how long it's been since you have pulled an all-nighter, but once you get out of like your early 20s, all-nighters are hard, and there's a lot of people for whom, they like were sort of done-ish on May 19th and we're coming back now. There was a lot of people and a lot of staff for whom the schedule did not let up. They have just been working full out for the last 3 weeks trying to get this wrapped up. And so not torturing them and making them pull an all-nighter, I felt was a really good
why is that set up like this? And this is the governor's, it's back to we must have had 6 or 7 deadlines since the Monday came out when we didn't get done, these fake deadlines. I don't see any reason the governor doesn't say, I think it's going to take 18 hours to get this done, whatever that was, Monday to Tuesday. I'm going to split it in 2 days. Here's what I'm asking. I'm coming back to session. We're going to start on Monday, and I'm going to give you until Tuesday at 7 in the evening. I thoroughly expect them to take a break. Because I don't know why we want our people doing the work of the people when they're in as crappy a shape as you can be. I can't do it. I can't see midnight. Right. New Year's Eve, I don't see midnight anymore. It's not a thing for me. How do I expect people to spend $66 billion not being fresh?
Yeah, it's, I think part of it is just the way that the legislature works is that they get there and they keep going. When you have space in between and you have people being like, well, I want to go home, I want to do the things. I mean, sometimes it's just easier, particularly the number of people who have to travel. Like, just get there, be there.
A 2-day special session. You want to sleep in your office. We got to have these people be better. And we've always done it. Okay, you're not getting on the horse anymore and riding home. You can get in anyway, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it because it was so tight? Was it because we were late and everybody's a little off? I thought while I was watching a lot of this, I think a lot of people hit below the belt. Is that fair in their comments? Because I thought this was come in, put the thing up there. We all got to vote on it. And here's an example. And I just used this example. Because it comes up by half a dozen of these folks. 20,000 people will let die if we get rid of the health insurance thing. I'm watching, and you might believe that. They've had it since January. This isn't like these are, how do I put it? What was happening 8 months ago? I guess we weren't, what I'm saying? I'm having a hard time with when you play that card, and I asked, who did I ask today? I had somebody on. Senator Lang. When the other side plays cards like that, I'm not saying the right doesn't. When you play that card, do you think it perks everybody's ears up, or it's like, oh, here we go, hyperbole time, sit back? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Does the discourse any good?
It does not do the discourse any good. Speaker Emeritus Hortman, who I will say, I'm going to pause on her for a second. Of anybody who did a really hard job and did a lot of things sort of for the good of the institution, it was Melissa Hortman.
Let's jump on her for a second. Absolutely right. She had to vote for that. And this is, I presume you know this. I heard that basically the powers that be, the 4 Senate and House leaders, had come to the agreement that if we're going to make this deal pass, which we said, come on, Governor, we've got it figured out, that each one of them would fall on the sword if they had to, if it went down the party line. And that's why Hortman and Murphy Both
Yes.
ended up making votes
Yes.
that I swear to God, they would not have done had it not, but they fell on it because of their word. I give them credit. Thank you
Absolutely.
for street cred for doing what you got to do. I don't know how much it ends up hurting them in the long run, and I hope it's minimal. Sorry.
And I think Hortman was the only Democrat to vote for that bill in the House.
Yeah. Yes.
At least Murphy had some company. So there were 4 Democrats that voted, with her on that for, multiple different reasons. But so Hortman did a, press availability after the session was done. And one of the things that she sort of mentioned in an offhand way was because the media was asking her about her vote and how she felt about that. And she was like, I don't feel good about it. And she said, members on my side of the aisle, their job was to make people who voted in favor feel like crap. And we did.
Yeah.
So
she was choked up, as I understand. She was very choked up about the whole thing. Back to, it's not easy being in charge. It's not easy at all. At some points, you've got to do what you've got to do. I don't know if that any of this gets done if those 4 don't pledge that to themselves, like a super secret honor code thing. If they didn't, we still would not be in session, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes a really good show of power is how much you're willing to give up. And Melissa Hortman has done that a couple of times. And then I don't remember who said it, but it was, you're only good as your word. Yeah. And so what does this do for her, though? Now, and I say that because they're all up next year. She'll be running for her office. Will the people of her district know how that worked and how she was trapped into, she had to do it? Mm-hmm. Will they know that, or is this her left flank comes running out of the woodwork? And could she lose it all after being emeritus? I think anybody is sort of ripe for a primary challenge. And I will say, of all the legislators, I don't know a single one who is more nervous about somebody from across the aisle than they are about a primary challenger. Yeah. Which is sort of where, to get back to your original question, when we take the rhetoric and make it really this is the world's most terrible thing, then you sort of not only sort of raise the stakes for other people, but you also, and this is something that's interesting that comes from social media, when you're posting things on social media, you don't often change other people's minds, but you wind up doubling down your own position.
Well, you're absolutely 100% correct. I don't know anybody's ever changed their mind on social media. You find more people who agree with you and make you think you're more right. I got to go to a break, but I would like to talk about, if you don't mind, and I want to walk delicately on it because maybe I misread the whole thing, but I watched Representative, I think is how you pronounce her last name.
Yes.
She was talking on this same bill. This is going so far, maybe too far, to try to make your point where you then run into problems on your own. She's going to be nationally known here by the end of the day, I guarantee you, on all the big networks. We'll talk about her and her comment. I saw it, and I don't think I was a right-wing guy misusing her words. I actually heard her say it. I know. We'll talk about it on the other side. Yeah. See if she can get out of it. Shannon Watson's with us with Majority in the Middle.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease! It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Easily offended? The Al Travis Show is not for you. The Al Travis Show. All sides are welcome.
As I get ready to tell this story, I've got Shannon Watson here with Majority in the Middle. What I'm trying to get to is I think kind of like 20,000 people are going to die, or what we go so far to make our point. I think this young lady hurt herself. I don't know Representative Her, and I presume that's how you pronounce it. I don't know her. TV was on, trying to keep up with what's going on, and she gets talking about her uncle from Laos, and she was trying to tell the story, and this is how I heard it. So if I misheard, okay. But basically it was that her uncle worked for the CIA in Laos to help us win over there, to do our thing. So he was granted the ability to come back. CIA says, you can come back, we'll take care of you. But it's supposed to be he died or something, and her dad wasn't in that group. So her dad lied and said, oh, that your uncle's your father or something like this, and that's how she got here. And she said, I'm the one you're talking about. I'm the illegal that you're trying to take health care from. That was her point. And I'm paying attention. I'm like, did she just say she's an illegal? And I mean, I really don't care much, but it caught my eye, and I wasn't making it up. It hits the national news, and she comes out dead and says, well, you right-wingers trying to put words in my mouth. I'm not a right-winger. It's what I heard, and now I'm under the impression she does have her citizenship. She got it. Okay. Yep. But that's just that point of going so far to try to make people, ooh, you're trying to take you get my point? We go too far.
I would agree with you. And yes, I do think there's a distinction there between, how she and her family wound up getting the ability to get in line, for refugee status faster. And it goes to the different way that we talk about things. The left generally uses the term undocumented, and the right uses the term illegal. And so sometimes when you adopt the language of other people, you seem to say something that isn't necessarily true in the context.
Well, see, but this is back to we can handle this. She should have got up this morning and said, I really misspoke. What I meant was, and did some polishing that way. To blame the conservatives for hearing it wrong, I didn't do nothing. I perked my ears up and did exactly what you wanted me to pay attention to your talk.
Yes.
So, see, that's just blaming everybody else for it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that was not necessarily done as elegantly as it could have been. She did put out a statement like in about, I think it was 45 minutes after it all sort of blown up. Because like you said something that definitely perked people's ears up, and she's going to be a target. I would also assume in the current climate, she'll probably raise some money off of it too.
See, Shannon, tell me something, because you try, and you do. You try so hard, and God love you for it. But that's the kabuki theater that we saw yesterday, in my opinion. Yeah. No one cared. They knew what they were going to vote. As much as I'm not going to change my vote reading a Facebook post, none of them walked into that room thinking, oh, if one of these people can just tell me one good story, then maybe I'll switch over. Yeah. So then it is, how do I raise money? When I yell 20,000 people will die, I'm like, well, that isn't true. But okay, it doesn't matter because it's going to be on an ad somewhere. Yeah. Isn't that the problem with the system we're living in today? No one's honest with any of us, or honest might be the wrong word. We're polishing turds. That's what we're doing. Head turd polisher. My dad used to call it. I was a head turd polisher. I just made the stinky stuff look good. That's what we're doing here.
That's part of the challenge of the work that we do is that we're all living in an attention economy, and elected officials a lot of that, which is one of the reasons that Majority in the Middle tries to get people attention for the stuff that we think is good. So the working across the aisle and the collaboration, the cooperation, all those things, and not pointing at people doing outlandish and divisive stuff.
That's why I probably hate being on the show. Here's what I'd like you to do, and I challenge you, because I think there's another way, or maybe you do it twofold. I think you point out the absolute hypocrisy as well, so that they stop it. And here's my point. 4 years ago, I think our budget was $54 billion, right? 54, 55, something like that. Then we had the spike to 71. Okay, I get it. And now this year's 66. You see the Democrats, there's no way we can live on 66. Well, 4 years ago, we lived on 54, so I don't follow that. Then you look at my Republican buddies. We slash government like never before. You slash it so much, it's 40% more than it was 4 years ago. Everybody is polishing the turd. I'm sorry if you keep saying that on your segment. You might never do this again. It's just, I watch it, I'm like, oh, stop. Just all of you stop. Let's be honest. We can spend $66 billion, feel pretty good about ourselves. Everybody doesn't get everything, but it's a whole lot more than we had 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's sort of the interesting thing. I was thinking about this morning. So one of the senators was talking about, one of the DFL senators was talking about how it's the hardest session that she's ever had to deal with. The hardest negotiation, the hardest situation, this split government, and, comparing it to 2023. And that's true. Like, if you're playing a scrimmage against your own team.
Great sports analogy right there.
Like if you actually, or if you're playing the Vikings versus, I don't know, some high school that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Not as good an analogy. I like the scrimmage thing better, but okay.
Right. And that's the thing. Like it's sort of a different thing. Like you've got more players and bigger players against, you got the pro team against a high school team, or if you've got, your intramural scrimmage. Those are different than playing a team that just has the same amount of power and numbers as a team that has the same amount of numbers. Of course, it's going to be harder. You got used to playing a scrimmage.
Well, and that's kind of like it comes from. I can look at both sides and say you are just absolutely blowing smoke, and I'm tired of it. Yeah. So let's look at the winners and losers if we can. I've got to go to break. We got to get on to the bottom of the hour. We lay it out. It's $66 billion said and done. There was a bonding bill for about $700 billion, if I'm not mistaken. There was the no new taxes pledge, which was going to stop this thing. There was the unemployment insurance thing. We've talked about Minnesota Care for people without papers, and data centers, which came up really shockingly late in the game for me, that were going to upset this whole thing. Well, it's all got ironed out. Oh, I should throw e-bikes. I think I'll tell you right now, my biggest winner, e-bikes. The e-bike people won huge. We'll talk about all that, find out who won or lost. Can we do it after the break? Is that fine?
Absolutely.
I love it. She's Shannon Watson with Majority in the Middle. We'll also bring up her state of bipartisanship. That's got to be wrapping up here shortly. Yeah. MajorityMiddle.org, MajorityMiddle.com. Either one works. Go take a look at their organization today.